What is your favorite memory you have with Mr. Pardun?
When we won the Ord game, we all came into the locker room, and he was just so excited because that's the first time we've won against Ord, and he was so funny. It was so cute.
About Mr. Pardun.
One of the things I appreciate about Mr. Pardun is he's so easy to work with and easygoing. He's always happy to do pretty much anything you ask, and he's really flexible as far as scheduling and that kind of stuff.
What is your favorite thing about Mr. Pardun?
That he's happy all the time, and anytime you see him in the hallway, he's always happy to see me. He'll say hi and everything.
Where do you think Mr. Pardun grew up?
Well, I know he was born in Iowa, but he probably grew up when he came to Nebraska.
What is your favorite memory of Mr. Pardun?
All the games that he lets us play.
I despise Mr. Pardun because he likes the Iowa Hawkeyes. We have to hear about it about every day.
What does Pardun do when he gets nervous during a basketball game?
He likes to touch his face down here, and he'll play with his hair sometimes.
Who do you think Mr. Pardun looks like? A celebrity.
Tom Cruise if he only wore shorts.
What's something you appreciate about Mr. Pardun?
One thing that I appreciate about Coach Pardun is that he's very understanding and open-minded. So whenever he puts his mind to something with the team or whatever he's doing with his coaching, he always tries to see everything from every angle. He tries to see it from different perspectives, and he's always open to everyone's opinion on how things should be done.
What's something that you appreciate about Mr. Pardun?
What I appreciate about Mr. Pardun is he's just the opposite of Bobby Knight. Mr. Pardun is always just cool, he's got ice in his veins. He would never think about throwing a chair or just ranting and raving. He is a cool character. That's what I appreciate about him, whether he's coaching, whether he's teaching.
How many kids do you think Mr. Pardun has?
Well, I'm pretty sure he had one, but I've been recently informed of other alternative information that he has 3.
What is your favorite thing about Mr. Pardun?
Mr. Pardun, my favorite thing about Mr. Pardun is every day we show up, he's happy to see us, and games that we play, he's interactive with us. He always calls us out and makes it fun to learn, and as much as you can learn in PE.
My favorite thing about Mr. Pardun is during PE time, and he plays all kinds of music for the kids to have a good time at.
There's one thing Mr. Pardun is strong at.
I think Mr. Pardun is strong at relationships with his students and his players. He always seems to be able to get his point across without having to scream and holler and yell, and he gets good results with his teams.
What do you think Mr. Pardun does in his free time?
I think Mr. Pardun kicks it back in a lazy boy and watches sports in his free time.
Do you know all the members of Mr. Pardun's family?
I do know all of Mr. Pardun's family members. He has his oldest son's name is Kyle, and he's actually my younger brother's age. And then he has Michaela, who I coached softball for 3 years. And he also has Matt, and then his wife's name is Heather, and she is my doctor and helps with my pregnancy with my 2 boys.
What is your favorite thing about Mr. Pardun?
My favorite thing about Mr. Pardun is how he chooses his music and how creative he can get with them.
What celebrity do you think Mr. Pardun looks like?
Oh, that's an easy one. He reminds me of John Belushi. John Belushi's either smiling or he just thinks something's funny is going to come out of his mouth, and that's Mr. Pardun. If he's not smiling or saying something funny, he's going to pretty quick.
What do you think Mr. Pardun does in his free time?
He told me he goes on runs sometimes once, he said that, and I know he goes camping and all that, like most people.
What is your favorite thing about Mr. Pardun?
My favorite thing is he's a connoisseur of great movies.
What is something Mr. Pardun is strong at?
Since my office is near the gym, I think that Mr. Pardun is really strong at choosing music to play during his games that he does during PE.
Mr. Pardun's pet peeves.
Mr. Pardun, he doesn't have a lot, but when you show up to class and you're lazy and you don't want to play. He gets our butts in gear, and like I said, he makes it fun for us.
What do you think Mr. Pardun does in his free time?
I think in Mr. Pardun's free time, I think he likes to run a lot.
How many kids do you think Mr. Pardun has?
Well, Mr. Pardun was my junior high PE teacher, so I know he has 3 kids, Kyle, Michaela, and Matt.
What celebrity do you think Mr. Pardun looks like?
Frank off of Big Fat Liar.
Favorite thing about Mr. Pardun?
My favorite thing about Mr. Pardun is that he lives in the underground with Mr. Neptune and myself, and he always has a happy attitude.
What do you appreciate about Mr. Pardun?
I appreciate that Mr. Pardun is always bringing his A game. He is full of energy, enthusiastic, positive. I have not seen the guy have a bad day since he's been here. I know that he probably has, but he doesn't show it. He's always positive, and I appreciate his enthusiasm.
How many kids do you think Mr. Pardun has?
I think Mr. Pardun has 3 kids, but then I also think that he has 50 kids because every kid at West Holt is his kid.